Hello, this is Noah, and today is January 6th. And today is a Saturday, but that doesn't really make much difference to me. Because since I'm homeschooled, I don't really have to go to school during the week. I mean, instead of going to school during the weekdays and then having it off on the weekends, I kind of do my schoolwork 6 days a week because, I mean, my mom would probably make me do it 7 days a week, but since I go to my dad's on Sunday, I usually don't do it on Sunday. But anyway, yeah, you know how I was trying to change my sleeping schedule? Well, I've still failed at doing that. Last night I didn't go to bed till about 1 something, and I got up this morning at 11. But anyway, yeah, you may have noticed I did not show my face at the beginning of the video. Well, that's because, I was going to try to just talk at the camera, facing the camera, for at least part of this video, and just see how that goes. So I hope I don't look too weird or anything. But anyway, I'm probably only going to do this for like another 10 seconds, but so the thing I was going to talk about today was some books I've been reading recently. This feels kind of weird. Well, first of all, for my class of academic success, one of the requirements for that class is that I have to read 140 minutes every week. And since I'm trying to work at a faster pace, I kind of have to read like twice that much. So, but anyway, yeah, that's a requirement. Fortunately, I like to read for fun. That's one of my hobbies, so it's not too hard. So what have been the books that I've been reading recently? Well, there ends the face cam, I guess, for now, but yep. So here's the stack of books that I got from the library, and I've been reading through them. Now, the books I usually like to read are fiction. I used to really like fantasy fiction and like science fiction. But I mean, I don't really care what kind of fiction it is. It just has to be like I only like a certain style of fiction. Like, it's not really, it doesn't really have, I don't know if it has a name, but I kind of prefer books that focus on one or two main characters, or like the perspective of the book is from either one or only a few main characters. And if it just focuses on those characters for most of the book, that's pretty much one of the main things that the main qualities that I enjoy reading in a book. Like if it's a story, but if it's like a story and it's not really like main focus of the story isn't really on either one or two main characters or just any of the characters in general, I don't really enjoy that story as much. But anyway, that's so like whether it's realistic fiction, science fiction, fantasy fiction, that's one of the main characteristics of a book that I would enjoy reading. But anyway, so normally I would want to just choose books that look good to me and that I would want to read. But to be honest, whenever I go to the library and I look around for books, there's just so many options. I have no idea what to choose, and I have no idea what book would be good. So that stack of books I have right there, that's My mom got those. She pretty much just randomly picked out books that she thought I might like to read. Unfortunately, for some reason, she had the idea that I was into reading biographies. Maybe because I was reading, this one book I was reading recently was called Angel's Ashes, and it's actually a memoir, but it reads more like a novel. So that's kind of the reason why I like that book, but apparently my mom kind of associated that with biographies. So she bought a bunch of biographies, but oh well, they're still pretty interesting. I just kind of prefer fiction. Anyway, let's go over all the books I got. So here's the first one I read already, which is called The A to Z of You and Me, and this is actually a novel. It's the only novel my mom got. Yeah, it's about this guy who's in the hospital. He's pretty much dying of kidney failure, and his nurse suggests not a mental exercise, but like something to keep him occupied, which is to go through the alphabet and assign a body part to each letter of the alphabet, and then to recount a story from his life that has to do with that body part, which kind of sounds weird, but yeah, pretty much the whole book is going through A to Z and just kind of having little flashbacks of stuff that happens in his life, which is kind of an interesting format for a novel, because normally it goes in, it's like normally novels are more chronological, but that one is just kind of jumps all over the place, which I didn't really like that much, to be honest, but it was still pretty interesting. At least it focused on the main character for the whole book. So yeah, that's that book, and the second one I read, the rest of these books are either biographies or autobiographies. Actually, there's only one autobiography, and that's the second book I read. My Brief History by Stephen Hawking, and it was a pretty interesting book, and I kind of learned a bit more about Stephen Hawking than what I've seen in, like, because obviously he's a pretty popular scientist because of his disability mostly, but most of the book actually focused on his scientific work, which is pretty interesting. I keep saying interesting, I should stop saying interesting. Well, I didn't know this would take so long. Anyway, the next book I read was Luther, and yeah, I'm trying to think of another word besides interesting. And also another word besides good. But yeah, this was a good book. And the next book I'm currently in the middle of reading is Mozart, A Life. And I mean, you don't have too much to say about biographies usually, because they're basically just research projects, but I guess, like, if you like the style of how someone wrote the biography, you can say that. Yeah, the Luther book kind of felt a little bit like it was leaning towards being a children's book, but on the other hand, maybe it was a slightly lower reading level than I'm used to, but it's still pretty good. And this Mozart book is actually kind of, I don't want to say interesting again. I kind of want to, I mean, I keep saying interesting, but yeah, I'm a really bad book reviewer. Yeah, this book was interesting. This book was good. This book was decent. And then the last book I have is Stradivari's Genius. It's about this guy who makes stringed instruments. I haven't read it yet. So yeah, that's all the books I have. Wow, that took a lot longer than I thought. Good thing that was the only thing I decided to talk about today. I was thinking, oh, only one topic? That might not take very long. Well, I was wrong about that. So, oh, let's turn the camera back to my face. Oh, whoops. I accidentally turned off the camera. But yeah, that's all my books that I'm reading. And I guess that's about it for today's video. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Goodbye.